Okay, we're live, Conrado.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our regional meeting for the month of April. Hoping everybody's doing well today. And before we start, let me let you guys know that we're transmitting this simultaneously in Spanish. You can click on the little globe where it says interpretation, and you can select Spanish. We are also doing it with the closed captioning today. If you want to turn off the closed captioning on your laptop, just go to the CC live transcript and select off, and you'll be able to remove that from your screen. If not, it'll be on there and you can read what we're talking about. So we are also going to be putting our organizers to work by answering your questions when you post them on the Q&A. And if you are uh, watching us with a phone, you can always fill out an inquiry form at SEIU99.org/inquiry, and we'll have an organizer get back to you. So, as we all know, schools and other employers are beginning to reopen for in-person learning. We'll hear more during this meeting about our negotiations. But first, we want to take a moment to recognize all of you who have kept students safe and learning during this pandemic. For many of us, schools have never closed. The past year, thousands of Local 99 members have been at work sites, schools, in-home, family, child care centers, and other facilities, keeping our communities going during this pandemic. We want to acknowledge your essential work. Recently, LAUSD Board President Kelly Gomez spent a day with members to also show her appreciation. We want to share this video with you of President Gomez and her visit to the Procurement Center in Pico Rivera and also the Santee High School Grab and Go Center. Pete.
My name is Kelly Gomez, and I'm the president of the LAUSD Board of Education. For me, I really want to recognize that our employees at our warehouse and at our school sites at the Grab and Goes have been making the sacrifice of coming in person every day since our campus is closed. And that includes, feeding families on Fridays so they have meals on the weekends. That includes during holiday breaks. So those are people who've been sacrificing every single day to make this relief effort happen. And I just really wanted to show my recognition and appreciation for all of their efforts and for their sacrifices at this really challenging time.
Drivers alone, between the two classifications, which is Class A and Class B, which is the difference between a bobtail and a tractor trailer, we have approximately 138 drivers. Every day. Then we also have to keep in mind the stock workers, because we have our own stock workers that work for truck operations.
Everything that the school needs, we got it.
Like all the school supplies. Right?
Yes, all school supplies, garden supplies, paper towels, toilet paper, everything. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff all over, like we're pretty spread across the board now, which I think is great, And I think it's really great. You guys are here just to see the people behind all this.
There's 15 of us stockers here, and I'm not by myself. A lot of us take pride in what we do, and just to come during this pandemic where we don't know. At first we didn't know the virus and how contagious it was and how deadly it was, and now that we understand more of it, we could work through it.
I roll up around 5:30, back up the truck. I offload I bring all the dry stuff, the sport kits, anything like that. I'll bring it, offload it, put it to the side. Then this truck right here, this freezer unit has all the frozen cold products. Then it's my responsibility to get with the cafeteria manager. She'll tell me what she needs. I'll bring that out. I'll set it out here, and then the staff will come out and break it down, and then they take it inside. So like I was saying, that they bring the product in. Basically, each person is in charge of doing so many meals. So they'll be given a form. They'll say, okay, you're going to do so many. Then they'll come out and grab. We'll break everything down, bring it inside. Then they'll grab what they need, put it on the tables, and then they start filling their bags. As you can see, the bags are being done. So once those bags are done, for now they're utilizing the milk crates. They'll put, for example, I don't know how many, maybe 10 in there in each crate, and then they'll take it outside, and then from there it goes out to the line for the grab and go. sign up, they stop right here. Then once they're told to advance, they'll come up and they'll do, like, for example, the young lady right here, and they'll tell her where to go, 1, 2, or 3, or 3, 2, 1. Then they'll roll up there. One of the members will come up to the vehicle, say how many family members do you have in your home. They say, for example, 4. Then they'll go ahead and pull the correct amount, put it on the table. Then the individual has to step out and grab it. So there's no contact whatsoever.
My name is Max Arias. I'm an elected executive director for SEIU Local 99. It is my role to work and empower workers to organize and improve conditions at the work site and in their communities. When we hear in the public the conversation, any conversation having to do with schools, specifically now, we only hear the perspective of parents, which is, we need that perspective, and teachers. But we never hear the perspective of the people that do the work to ensure that teachers can actually teach and the students can actually learn in a clean and safe environment. So it was very important for us that Board President Gomez took the time to drive all the way from the Valley to come meet the workers and see how the day starts in LAUSD and how the operation actually happens to actually ensure that the food is delivered, distributed, as well as everything that surrounds it. It was interesting to see her reaction when she saw how the work is being done and the size of the operation, which is pretty immense. We appreciate Ms. Gomez. We're really glad that she's board president and she has exhibited, leadership. And we look forward to continue to work with her because the work is not done yet. Right now, we are in the phase of reopening the schools to students, right? Or like I like to say, resuming instructions because the school never closed. They were actually open, as you can see. So we look forward to working with her, and it was good to work with her today as well.
Awesome video. Shout out to my boy Tony Almada out there from trucking, and to our brothers at the stock workers at procurement. It's great to be recognized as essential workers during this pandemic. I personally have been out here working through this crisis, so I know the challenges that we face going to work. So now as we move forward, it's important that we continue to stand united and to make sure employers don't forget how essential our work is. Next, you'll hear from our elected Local 99 Executive Director, Max Arias. Max.
Thank you, President Conrado. Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. My name is Max Arias. As Conrado introduced me, thank you. Just wanted to share a few perspectives. You just saw the video, and I wish we could have done a video for everybody in this call because I know everybody in this call has been working hard, whether in person or through Zoom, to support student learning and to keep schools safe, clean, well maintained, and beyond. Right? Making sure the transportation of the children is happening, etc. Is nonstop. And you heard what Conrado said. The truth is, we know we've always been essential, and actually not just essential, but without your work, the schools and colleges and and childcares, it would not operate. And that is what we've shown right now, right? And that is the power that you bring. The power that we bring is our collective work. Our collective work can either be given or it can be withheld until conditions are fair for us. And so as this pandemic wanes down, it is important that our voices be raised even louder to demand that our working conditions are improved, that our wages are improved, and that all our sisters and brothers in Local 99 can have access to quality healthcare and retirement. That is our fight. That is our struggle. And as we do that, we also ensure that all our students are learning in a safe environment and that our children, your children, yes, are also attending schools that actually will provide them with the education that we need to move forward. And as our schools and communities reopen, we have been in negotiations with employers to ensure safety and fairness in assignments and responsibilities. We'll hear more details later for each employer. We have a detailed report for everybody later in the meeting, but I do want to share a few highlights on some of the things that happened recently. So you may know at LAUSD, we secured a $500 a month stipend for employees for childcare for ages 0 to 4. Not only did you secure it for our members, but for everybody, teachers, anybody that needs it. And it is family childcare providers that we represent that are our members that are also going to be supporting on this endeavor. We also want emergency paid sick leave. So workers at LAUSD will not have to use their benefited leave for COVID-related illnesses retroactive to December 1, 2020. And we keep pushing at every other jurisdiction to achieve that. There's also a waiver on vacation caps at LAUSD through the 2021-22 school year, and new job opportunities with more hours for after-school workers and other LAUSD Unit G employees. We are pushing the districts, all the districts, to either extend hero pay and or give hero pay to those workers that have been working through the pandemic without hero pay. We're also moving forward with negotiations for wage increase covering the 30-year of a full contract. So for LAUSD and others, specifically LAUSD, we have been fighting for stipends and safety, but we should not forget that we are still owed one more raise from the school year 2019-2020, that school year. We are owed a raise, and it is time right now to demand it so that we can have permanent increases. Just like that in every other jurisdiction, like LACO, for example, we're fighting for raises and or continuing to get stipends. So we got to continue to organize. And family childcare providers, I want to share, have just won their second COVID agreement with the state. Let's remember one thing. Family childcare providers just organized during the pandemic, and they're already making gains. This new COVID agreement with the state waives family fees and reimburses providers in full for fiscal year 21-22. It offers financial support to providers to address higher costs, drop in enrollment, and other economic hardships during the pandemic. It includes a $3,500 stabilization stipend for all licensed providers, including those temporarily closed. It provides 16 additional paid COVID days in case they have to close. It funds mental health support, establishes a grievance and arbitration process for any disputes related for the agreement. And that's really important. We gotta keep fighting for that first contract. Also at Santa Monica Malibu Unified, members are moving forward with a campaign to win hero pay and address discrimination and disrespect. As we speak, either today or by tomorrow, there will be a grievance filed on Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District for discrimination. So we all have to stay in tune and support those workers that are being discriminated, because it is unacceptable for anybody to be discriminated. Members at LACCD that are also working on their front lines just won a $1,000 pandemic stipend. As you hear these things, we have to ensure that these benefits and these stipends, etc., spread so that all our members have it, and we won't stop until we get there. We have to continue to work hard, because right now, as we exit the pandemic, not only are we going to be fighting for some raises, but most of our contracts, full contracts, are in gear. And we have to win permanent improvements on all our contracts to continue to improve our conditions and have better jobs. There is, of course, a lot more that we need to win. And with new state and federal COVID relief funding, there are resources available. That's the thing that's different. When they say they're broke, they're not broke, because there's money available. The thing is, they're going to say, we don't want to spend money on a one-time basis. But we know that money won't be handed to us. So we need to continue to stand strong at the bargaining table and at work sites. And we have to be prepared to do what we need to do as a union to win for all members. Look forward to seeing everybody soon as we start reopening, and hope to see everybody in person. That's what I mean, soon, so that we can continue to share and look forward to our future together. Thank you, Conrado. I hand it back to you.
Thank you, Max. Those are some great highlights. Next, we want your thoughts on COVID testing. Our Local 99 Secretary, Agnes Braga, will guide us through some polling questions. Agnes.
Okay, so we know COVID testing is critical to maintaining safety at work. So we want to know, what is happening at your work site? Our first question is, does your employer have a COVID testing policy? So go ahead and answer. Good to know. Glad you guys have that. You guys should really find out. Second polling question is, if there is a testing policy at your work site, how often are you required to be tested? Is it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or other? Okay. For most of us, I guess it's weekly. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Agnes. Thank you all for your responses. Next, we have updates on negotiations with employers where our members work at. First, we'll start off with MAOF, Margaret, or Amelia, I'm sorry, Amelia.
Okay. I'll be pulling up the share screen. Amelia will be helping us out with this first report.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Amelia and I'm a leader in MAOF. Our members meet for a labor meeting on Friday the 23rd as we discuss the worksite concerns from custodians and teachers which are being addressed. MAOF will not be mandating a COVID-19 vaccinations. Sites that are reopening are following current guidelines, and MAOF will be notifying SEIU, our local 99, of COVID-related exposures. Next general membership meeting is scheduled for May 15th. Zoom information will be provided to the members and will be posted on our website. And I also have options. Employee notifications have been received for staff and tested positive, and copies of notices to staff that were exposed. Options is paying employees up to 3 days of illness for any medical related after taking the COVID-19 vaccination. And that is my updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. Next, we'll have Chris Ozan with the Community College District. Chris.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Ozan. I represent LACCD. I will be giving you an update for Los Angeles Community College. There will be a $1,000 remote work stipend for all LACCD employees. This was approved by the Board of Trustees on April 14th. The $1,000 one-time fee payment to all employees in LACCD for expenses incurred while working from home during the pandemic will be paid out on the last check in May. And then for our full contract negotiations, we will begin negotiating wages next month, and we expect major pushbacks from the district. Our team and staff is working hard to make sure that there is a store at every single LACCD college campus, and that monthly membership meetings are taking place on campus to make sure that all members know what's going on in the negotiations. Our next full contract session with LACCD is on Tuesday, May 4th. For COVID-19 MOU negotiations, we signed the COVID-19 MOU last week, and members are already referencing the language to exercise their rights. We'll provide details on the new MOU at the LACCD monthly membership meetings via email and on our website, SEIU99.org. And also, we have update MOU highlights. We have language that addresses accommodations. Members that are 65 years of age or older, have an existing chronic health condition, do not have child care supervision for child care under 16, under age 16, and those who are in close contact with older individuals or individuals with pre-existing conditions due to stay-at-home order. There is you can request for these accommodations. And in our MOU, the procedures for this is attached. The form is attached to the MOU so that you can follow. And for safety, any members who report to a work site and is not provided the appropriate PPEs will be excused from reporting to work that day and will receive full pay for that day. And for testing, employees who wish to take a COVID-19 test should have the right to do so during their work time without loss of pay, as often as every 14 days. And for vaccination, paid leave is available for employees who are recovering from any illness, injuries, or conditions related to vaccine side effects, and for employees who are unable to work because they are seeking or waiting for the results of their diagnostic test or awaiting a medical diagnosis, and for employees who are recovering from any side effects from taking the COVID-19 vaccine. And if you have if you get the vaccine, the district is paying for the vaccination. And like I said, they're covering if you experience any type of side effects or whatever from the vaccination. And that form is located in the the LECCD COVID website. So that's where you can access those forms so you can get paid for your vaccination. Also for COVID-19 leaves, FFCRA, which is the Family First Corona Response Act, leaves extension and expansions will be provided for our members that must take leave due to COVID-19. And that's all I have for my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess, Chris, you're also doing LACO. Can you do LACO? I'll take it.
Yeah.
Next we'll have Los Angeles County Office of Education. Most members continue to work remotely. Members with assignments continue to be provided with appropriate PPE and in adherence to established public health guidelines. Next, we have Compton Unified. CUSD has a COVID-19 prevention program and has developed a COVID-19 safety plan and testing plan. Hacienda La Puente, conversations regarding the extension of the current Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, continue. And for Linwood, we have a MOU has been completed. Provisions include the following: 10 days of fully paid leave days in 2021. Agreement expires June 30, 2021. Attendance incentive, floating holiday carryover, $200 per semester retroactive to July 1st, 2020. Information was provided to all members on our membership meeting. Members want to start the fight to receive hero pay and field plan is pending. Next, we have Montague Charter, and we have Marisol Aguilar with that report. Marisol.
Hi, everybody. ¿Cómo está mi gente? Ciao. I'm gonna go ahead and read Montague Charter Academy. First bullet, Memorandum of Understanding regarding remote work, distant learning, safety protocols, and transition into hybrid are in place. Bargaining team members meet on Tuesday, April 20th, 2021, and we started talking about providing hero pay to essential workers. Additional information will be posted on the website. Pleasantville Valley School District. Full contract extended through June 30th, 2021. No layoffs or reductions in the hours. Oh, wait.
Sorry, go ahead.
On me. In hours to date or pending. Appropriate PPE and COVID-related trainings and procedures in place. Additional assignments are reasonably related to establish duties by classification. Next slide, please. Thank you. Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District. Next negotiation meetings is scheduled April 30th, 2021. Current campaigns includes hero pay, bullying and harassment of members within our custodial department. And then I'll pass it on to Ms. Braga to take it over. Thank you.
Thank you, Marisol. So I'm going to be talking about the Accelerated School, or also known as TAS. TAS has stated it is committed to maintaining a safe working environment, and members are continuing to be vigilant in this regard. Next slide, please. Torrance Unified School District bargaining team met with district on March 24, 2021, and discussed compliance with AB 685. Vaccinations, hybrid transition, security cameras, and our wage reopeners. Bargaining continues regarding hero pay and putting cameras on school buses. Additional information to come. Ventura Community College District. Reopening plans limited to hands-on courses have been established for all 3 colleges with appropriate PPE, training, and assignments made for members. Whenever possible, members continue to work remotely. Now I pass it on to Ms. Elizabeth Parker or Conrado for LAUSD. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening, all of my SEIU members and the bargaining staff slash safety committee. I'm going to be reading the report for LAUSD reopening of schools. I hope everyone is doing well. Negotiations for reopening sites have been completed. MOU is posted on our website. Our members stood strong to ensure our sites did not open until it is safe. Employees required to quarantine by the district will be paid without the use of the employee's benefited time. Safety committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April the 27th, 2021. More details in the MOU. My slide up before I can see the rest of this. Employees without healthcare supporting COVID response services such as a grab and go testing, vaccines, and childcare services will be provided healthcare through the durations of this agreement. District has implemented an anonymous centralized hotline whereby SEIU members will be able to report safety concerns related to COVID that have been reported to the site administrators that have not been resolved. Our agreement includes protection against layoffs and furlough days. I'll pass it on to Conrado.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So we actually had our safety committee meeting earlier today. And here are some of the points we talked about. And our bargaining team, we proposed extending hero pay. This is still in discussion with the district. So, we make the argument that if anything, it's more unsafe to go back to work now, being exposed to more people. So we're demanding that hero pay get extended till the end of summer school if needed or moving forward. And also any building and grounds workers that's out there right now, or anybody working in MNO or anybody that has trained anybody or any other workers that's coming onto campus that are contractors, please fill out an inquiry form so that you can get paid for doing that training. District says plan managers are the ones that are supposed to do it, and we agree. But we know that plan managers out there are just passing the buck and asking our members to do the work for them. So if you are one of those building and grounds workers, or if you know anybody that's a building and grounds worker that was actually training contractors to do the work that they do, please let them know to fill out an inquiry form, and we'll get them paid a differential to offset the training that they did that they weren't supposed to do. Also, to ensure safety, site visitors need to go through the checkpoints. If a work site is not enforcing this, then members need to report this to us by submitting an online form at SEIU99.org/inquiry. Paraprofessionals working as a one-on-one should not be assigned additional duties outside work with their one-on-one student. So if you're not supposed to go and do other duties if it's not related with that student that you're working with. So please keep that in mind. These are things that we have been negotiating. So the rights that you have, enforce them when they're trying to violate those rights. If any paraprofessional is with a student that is exempt from wearing a mask, you need to report it to us by submitting an online inquiry form immediately. There will be no exception of students riding a bus without a mask. If this occurs, report it to us via an inquiry form. I know the bus drivers are not letting any kid on if they don't have a mask. If any student is not adhering to the guidelines in place, report it to us by submitting the inquiry form at SEIU99.org/inquiry. Next, we have negotiations with LUSD are ongoing and will continue to provide more updates as we get along. Next, we have a report from childcare providers, negotiations with the state. We have Nanette. Nanette, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. P, if you could help me with the slides. As you guys all heard a little while ago, Max mentioned that our family childcare providers won their union election just last year, and that we have been winning as we negotiate with the state around COVID-19 agreements. Next slide, please. Max mentioned that we won our second COVID relief tentative agreement just last week. And what it includes is family fees will be waived and all providers will be reimbursed for the full fiscal year of 2021, 2022. And we know that this pandemic has really caused our providers an economic burden. And so providers were able to negotiate a $600 stipend for each enrolled child in March 2021 on a subsidy program. And regardless of whether any providers in a subsidy program or not, all licensed family childcare providers will be getting a one-time $3,500 stabilization stipend, which is going to help many of our providers who are struggling economically at this time. Not only that, we also were able to win 16 additional paid COVID days for the full year. And it continues childcare subsidy policies to stabilize the childcare, which means that providers will be reimbursed for enrollment, not for attendance. It waives the signature from families that are sheltering in place, because if they're sheltering or isolated, we want to make sure that they keep us safe, right? And we are getting over $25 million invested into Child Care Initiative Project, which will help providers open up and get their licenses so that we can have more providers available for children who need access to quality, affordable childcare. But it also allows some way to support providers in making sure that if they close, they're able to reopen their doors, especially as the California is reopening and the economy is reopening and people are going back to work. We are also very glad that we're getting funds for mental health supports, because we know that the pandemic has definitely caused a lot of grief that people are suffering from. And all of this will have a grievance and arbitration process, which will allow us to implement this throughout the year. Next slide, please. And as you know, when we fight, we win. And we were very, very active politically to ensure that we got Joe Biden elected as president. And through the American Rescue Plan, we've gotten a lot of funds invested into childcare. Of course, it's one-time funds, but we're really excited about it. And the numbers are big, so bear with me. We're getting a total of $3,759,438,243. And how that's going to be broken down and invested into California is that $1,446,271,764 will be invested into funds for childcare for essential workers to ensure that our hospital workers, our grocery workers continue to do their work that they need to do and that their children are taken care of. And then there's $2,313,166,480 that's being invested into providing relief to providers, included but not limited to grants for personal costs and other expenses, rent and mortgage, personal protective equipment and cleaning supplies, as well as mental health support. So as you saw the things that we won, this is the money that we're getting invested, and we're putting it into the providers' pockets right away. Of course, this is all going to be voted on and passed through the July 1st budget. Next slide, please, Keith. And we've already won previous to the second agreement with COVID. And all of that money came from money that we won through the federal government. It's all our political activism, and it's all the providers taking action. And next slide. And as I say action, please know that last week, we had a press conference in Boyle Heights at our member leader, Adriana Lozano. I'm saying her last name wrong. But we were able to highlight the fact that Boyle Heights is a childcare desert, and how we need to provide more access to working families to ensure that they have childcare so that they can go back to work. And we had Austin Butner there, who was highlighting the fact that the agreement that Max mentioned a while ago about the $500 stipend to ensure to offset the cost of childcare for anyone 0 to 5 that works at the district, which is really important. We want to highlight this partnership because we want more employers to follow suit. We want everyone to have access to childcare, and employers can help make this happen. And so we also had, next slide, board member Monica Garcia attend, and of course Max Arias, who spoke, and it was a great press conference. Please, if you have an opportunity, check it out. And for providers specifically, next slide, please do know that we are having upcoming events. So we're going to be having a Friday mandated child abuse reporter training via Zoom. On Saturday, May 1st, we have a How to Become Licensed workshop that is being hosted by our Early Care and Education Fund, Training Fund partnership. On May 3rd and May 6th, we have a PPP workshop for childcare providers. There are funds out there that we want our providers to have access to, and we want to help them apply. And on May 6th, we're also going to have a workshop with licensing advocate Shogig, who is going to be talking about on-site inspections that will be starting up soon. So we want to make sure all providers are prepared before licensing knocks on your door. And again, on Saturday, the 26th, we're going to have an opportunity to work with the legal offices of Janice Mendel to help our providers navigate all of the legal tricks and stuff that's happening within childcare. Please, if you have an opportunity, join us via Facebook at CCPU California and at 99 CCPU. Thank you very much. And that's the report for childcare. If you have any questions, please let me know, put them in the chat, or reach out to me personally. Thanks.
Thank you, Nanette. Great seeing you again. So we know that a lot of what we win at the bargaining table is tied to the government funding and to the elected officials who make decisions. Here to share more about how we're making politics work for working people is our SEIU Local 99 Political Director, Lester Garcia. Lester.
Hey, Conrado. Thank you. And hello to everybody out there. There's a lot to, excuse me, let me get the screen thing going. All right, there's a lot of work that's been happening. Our members have been pushing. There's a lot of wins, as you heard from Nanette, some of the highlights in the American Rescue Plan. I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been able to win so far at the federal level, at the state level, and at the local level, and how we're gonna continue to push. So members have been taking action. If y'all remember, at our last meeting, we talked about over 1,500 of you sending emails to our representatives, over 700 of you making phone calls to our representatives. I wanted to just highlight that as of this last week, we've met with every single representative that represents the state and the state government. So on the Assembly and the Senate, in the LA County area. And so what we've been able to do is we've done these lobby visits with our members on the K-14 side, and a big presence on our family childcare providers. And we've been able to secure commitments for childcare, cleaning and safety standards, as well as some of our special ed priorities. On the American Rescue Plan, I won't spend too much time on this, but we've been able to secure $27 billion in state fiscal relief. So this is $27 billion that's going directly to the state of California, $18.5 billion that's going to go directly to cities and counties in the state, and more than $15 billion in relief that's specific for K-12 schools, right? This is on top of that stimulus check that folks should have received, the economic impact payment of $1,400, and some additional relief up to $1,600 per child for your child tax credit. So you'll see that next year when you go in and you do your taxes for those of you who have dependents under the age of 18. At the state level, a lot of really great victories here. We've been able to win over $4.6 billion additional dollars for K-12 funding spread out over the next 2 years, through 2022. An extra $391 million specifically for the hiring of paraeducators. So when I say specifically, what that means is that LAUSD, Torrance, none of our other school districts, they can't take this money and use it in place of what they're currently spending on, let's say, special ed assistants. This is specifically for the hiring and providing additional hours to existing special ed assistants. So they can't supplant with this money. In other words, you can't say, okay, well, I'm going to take the money I'm spending now and use this money instead. This is on top of what they are already spending. As Nanette spoke earlier, over $500 million in COVID relief directly for childcare workers, and roughly about $1 billion for early care and education. So this benefits children both in childcare and outside of the family childcare system. So just a quick reminder on what this process actually looks like, right? So if you'll remember this slide, from those of you who've been, part of our meetings a few meetings back, we are right now in April. Normally, this is when taxes are due. The governor presented his original budget back in January. Usually taxes are due April 15th. As you all know, there's been an extension by the federal government to May the 17th. And so in May, we will get what we call our May revise. So based on all of the taxes that have been paid to the state of California so far, the governor comes in with a new proposed budget. And then in June, by June 30th, there is a budget passed by the legislature. So there's still more to do on that front. So we're continuing to push staffing standards for clean, safe, and sanitary schools. What we're going to be pushing for is a pathway. So over the next few years, we're pushing for the at least doubling of the staffing when it comes to building and grounds and cleanliness at our school districts, and a potential quadrupling over the next a longer period of time, maybe 5 to 10 years of that staffing. We're continuing our push for increased funding for special ed students. This is so that to make sure that school districts with a higher concentration of students with moderate to severe needs are receiving those additional dollars. The other big one, I know a lot of our members really rely on this program. That is the Summer Bridge program, or what's also known as the Classified School Employees Assistance Program. We had the deadline back on March 1st. A lot of you are applying, a lot of you are drawing down funds for this program. Every year, the program exists so long as there is money in the program to be able to get that money out. So if we want to make sure that for those of you who applied this year, if we want to make sure that you get that one-to-one match in summer of 2022, we need to make sure that the state of California is putting more money into the program under the leadership of this local, and because of active members getting involved, and our executive board who've taken a big leadership role on this. We've been able to secure $100 million so far on Summer Bridge. And again, that's due to our member activism. And so if we want to keep the program funded, we need to make sure that we keep on asking for more. We'll be asking for at least an additional 30 million this year to carry us over into the following year. And as Nanette laid out, I won't go too much into this, but we're continuing our fight to make sure that all of our demands, our contract demands for our family childcare providers, are reflected in the budget moving forward. Now, locally, we've been able to push, help push some big policies that have led to the expansion of our union and also the hiring of additional folks to provide safer and more sanitary conditions here on our school campuses. About 500 additional, or the creation of 500 health site support aides. So these are people responsible for helping to take temperatures and those sorts of things that are being added on. We've been able to come to an agreement with LAUSD for the hiring of an extra 1,000 school facilities attendants in a relief position. We, again, as I mentioned earlier, we're still pushing for more money for this cleaning and sanitation of schools. A lot of our school districts are operating off of one-time money, a lot of CARES Act money and things like that. And so these are for now temporary positions, but 1,000 school facilities attendants who will be coming on. You all might have seen potentially maintenance workers and other people going out and trying to do these jobs. We need to make sure that you're reporting those to the union, filing an inquiry form, getting in touch with your representatives. We want to make sure that our members' work stays our members' work. And so again, we've been able to recruit so far. There is a list of applicants, I should say, that are currently being processed, about 1,000 of them being processed at LAUSD for the school's facilities attendants. And another one, school climate advocate. There's been a big push to move to more proactive discipline policies on campuses. So less presence of police and more people on campuses who can actually forge a relationship with our students and prevent big incidents from happening in the first place. The board district, after a whole lot of advocacy, was approved a position called the school climate advocate, and there will be one of these at every single secondary school site. And so we'll continue to push to help make sure that those people come on as well. But a lot of really great folks being added. It's going to bring a lot of not just clean, safe, and sanitary campuses for the students, but also for workers and for families as well. Lastly, I just want to remind everyone that to keep engaged with our union, be a part of Outreach Circle. Outreach Circle is the app that we have to maintain in communication with our membership. It allows you to go out and help recruit fellow members into the union. It helps you engage with our union and with your fellow coworkers. And as we continue to advocate, so as we tell the elected officials up in Sacramento that we need more money for our schools, that we need more money for childcare, this is one way that we're going to keep you engaged and keep you activated. For those of you who've been involved, you all know it's as simple as pushing a button, and that lets you send an email to the governor's office, to the state leadership, to everybody that lets them know what we need as workers and what our children and families need in our schools as well. So make sure that you download the Outreach Circle, the Outreach Circle app. And you can do that right now by simply taking out your phone, putting it to your camera, pointing your camera at that QR code right there. And that's going to give you a link, and that's going to take you directly to our app. Make sure you download the app and stay connected to our union and be a part of the fight. Remember, for those of you asking about hero pay and all of these things that are still being negotiated, we only get so far as our membership is willing to be activated and as far as we're willing to fight. So make sure you download the app right now, stay connected and stay plugged in and get activated. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to you, Conrado.
Thank you, Lester. Always great information there. Now we're going to open it up for questions. We're going to take some of the most frequently asked questions we received during registration and during the meeting. I also want to remind you that if you're on your phone, you would have to fill out an inquiry form at SEIU99.org/inquiry, and organizers will be following up. So also, due to the number of questions, we will not be able to respond to everyone. But if you send a question by any of these means, either on the chat or through the inquiry, it'll be you'll be reached out by an organizer and your question will be answered. Now I'll turn it over to Blanca Gallegos, our communications director. Blanca.
Great. Yes, thank you very much, Conrado. I'm gonna help facilitate some of the many questions that have been coming through, direct them to our panelists, many who have been at the bargaining table with different employers addressing these issues. So I'll try to get to as many as we can, and some of them I grouped together because they're related to the same issue. The first one is, as was mentioned earlier, there's been a lot of questions about hero pay at LAUSD. When did the hero pay expire, and will it be extended? I'll direct that to, I believe, Pam is on the line, Pam Stevenson.
Hi, everyone. So the differential ended on the 26th. We have been negotiating it and we are continuing to negotiate it because it is our position that there's still a risk. But as of now, it ended on the 26th. We will be meeting with district again on May 3rd to continue that conversation, and we are fighting for it to be extended until the end of the school year.
Thank you, Pam. There's also many questions regarding COVID testing. LAUSD has closed most testing sites, members say, and also the mobile testing sites are not all fully operating like LAUSD said they would. And so there's a question about, you know, what are the requirements and what is the process for getting COVID tested at LAUSD?
We had safety committee negotiations today. We were informed that yes, they have sent out notices that they were going to be sending out mobile testing sites to the actual school sites. Apparently they have not gotten that off the ground and done. So the protocol is that you are to try to schedule a meeting, an appointment for the testing. If you can't get an appointment, you're supposed to do the walk-on. We have heard from many people that are saying that they're being told that they have to do it on their own time, after school, before school, or weekends. That is absolutely incorrect. You do it during work hours. The second thing is, if you are being denied, we need to know about that right away, because this does not work if you are not tested. The whole goal is it was a mandate. It's no mandate for the vaccine, but there is a mandate for the testing, and we need to know right away so that we can address it, because otherwise this does not work. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Related to that, there's some members at LAUSD who say they received an email from the district saying that they no longer needed to be tested each week, as long as they had one negative test with the district. They no longer needed to do it weekly, to be tested weekly. So is this true, or what exactly is the requirement? Do members need to be tested weekly at LAUSD?
As of this morning in negotiations, it is weekly. If something has come out this afternoon, we will definitely follow up with that, and we will make sure that it's posted so that everybody is informed of what is going on. But as of today, this morning, it was stated that that is still a mandate, that it's to be done weekly.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. We have another question again related to the COVID test. Why aren't contract drivers required to take the COVID test?
We also were negotiating over that earlier today, and we were told they absolutely do have to test.
Okay, great, thank you. So you mentioned about, again, related to COVID testing, members should be getting paid. It's not on their own time to get tested. So what if a member is denied time off for COVID testing? One member stated the paraprofessionals are being told to get COVID tested after school on their personal time. So what should they do?
We want to know about that right away, because we can address that immediately. Again, that would go against their own mandate, which states that you cannot be in the school facility without being tested. That's what the whole daily pass piece is about. So if they are being denied that, then they're violating their own policy, and that's something that we can address immediately.
Okay, and then as you stated, the COVID test is mandatory, but the vaccine is not mandatory. But if member wants to take the vaccine, do they do that on their own time, or can they also be allowed time off from work to have the vaccine?
So for the testing, you get 2 hours to go and test. And if for the vaccine, you get 3 hours to go and test. And all of this is during district time. And if you, once you do the vaccine, if you have symptoms, then you get up to 3 days on MSND to recover from the symptoms from being vaccinated.
There are questions now that members are going back to work on campus. One member says, my work site has just reopened, and in 1 week, there is already 1 case of COVID, and my school claimed to quarantine folks, but the teacher and the aide have been on campus. These folks are apparently vaccinated, but shouldn't they still be quarantined? So what is the process if there is a positive case at a school site or at a work site?
To my understanding, it depends on the proximity of the positive case. So if, say that cohort had a student in there, they would definitely be past the 15-minute mark because they're in there for hours. So if you're exposed to it for that period of time, you're supposed to be quarantined. So we would need to know, I seen that in the Q&A, and I did tell them that we need those details right away so that we can follow up on those cases.
And to add to that, Blanca, if I could, Ms. Pam, the COVID vaccine, it pretty much keeps you from dying, but it doesn't keep you from continuing to contract this virus and pass it on. And because of that, this is why they should definitely be quarantining, to Pam's point. Thank you.
So as a follow-up to that, so how long should members quarantine? Be on quarantine?
It would be the CDC guidelines, which I believe is 10 working days, but it ends up being 14 days. Because
and members are paid during that quarantine.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have a question from a member at LACCD, the LA Community College District. When will we at LACCD know if it will be mandatory for us to take the vaccine at LACCD?
I don't know if anybody is on here from there, but I would assume that once it is negotiated, if it's mandated, that has to be negotiated. So I don't know that they've had those conversations as of yet, but we'll make sure that we have that posted as soon as we get that information.
So if I may jump in, Blanca, just want to remind is no employer right now is mandating the vaccine, and it cannot be mandated, as you know, lawfully. It is our position as a union that it has to be done through an education process, not through a mandation punitive process. And in every table, at every interaction, that is how we're going to come through. And it actually has so far been successful because I think through the efforts in education that, you know, this local and others have been giving and supporting our members. A lot of our members that had doubt have now become vaccinated. So so we will not be, we will be pushing back against any mandatory vaccination process that is punitive. That is punitive. What our focus is safety. That's why masks will continue to be important. To Marisol's point, you know, the vaccine is not, it's not a guarantee that you won't get something and that you can't transmit. So that is why it's important to continue all of these safety protocols, pushing for them, being vigilant. Everything that you've raised, as Pam stated, the minute you see. Now, all these districts have a hotline, and that's cool. But remember, your local also has kind of a hotline, and it's staffed up to support our member leaders in the work that they're doing and supporting all of you, right? So so just make sure to fill out these inquiry forms, call and report all of these things so that we can centrally, for any jurisdiction, every jurisdiction, this call center is there, right? From Hacienda La Puente to Ventura Community College District to Family Childcare, it's everybody. And that is how we can guarantee that we stay safe. And with regards to the hero pay, we will continue to fight for hero pay in every jurisdiction. But I want to refocus that not only do we need to continue to push for hero pay, we need to grasp this moment and not let society forget, or the employers, that you are essential workers and that you kept this society functioning throughout this time. And now it's time to make sure that our jobs are better jobs. So I want us to refocus our energy, continue to fight for hero pay, as well as it's time to start pushing for real improvements in our work. So I just wanted to jump in and elaborate on that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Max. Next, we're gonna jump to a question about first aid and CPR requirements. Is LAUSD requiring us to fulfill these requirements before returning to work in person? And how can we register for classes?
Yes, you are required to have your CPR certification before you return. We have posted on our website the classes that are available through LAUSD, as well as the ones that we provide to try to expedite the process to get you all up to date on that.
Thank you, Pam. We
Just
have,
know that the classes that the LAUSD offers do come with a fee that you have to pay. The
Which
ones
is, I
for,
believe it's $10.
yeah, Local 99 ones are free.
Yes.
that's right. Okay, so now we have several questions about students being exempt from wearing masks. So questions about what parents were giving forms for a mask waiver. And so there's a question about, what happens if a student is exempt from wearing a mask? How do members ensure that they are protected? What are the protocols for that?
So this, that policy was just thrown at us last week. We've been in negotiations over it. Our position has been that that is unacceptable because there is a mandate. The mask mandate still remains for the county. With that being said, there are different guidelines that keep changing often. So what we have managed to put in place is that those are the one-on-ones that Conrado spoke to at the beginning of the meetings, that if you are on a one-to-one with an exempted student, the teacher has to be, the certificated person has to be with you throughout the whole period. You're not alone with that student at all. The second piece is any duties that you have pertaining to, whether it be diaper changing or trade, depending on who is assigned to that student for those specific needs, that is all based off of their IEP. So this is how the district has to accommodate, and those duties do belong to, some of those duties belong to our members. So they would be required to adhere to them. There are PPE guidelines specific to that, and those were shared already. And if you don't have them, please reach out to us and we'll make sure that you have them, as to whatever the specific needs of that exempted child. So from our understanding from our meeting today, and the meeting that we had Monday, I believe it was. No, today is Tuesday, I'm sorry, last week.
Right.
It was all based on the IEP and the necessity that they can't have this. It would cause them more harm to have the mask, but the school district is required to provide education to their students. So what we have managed to put in place is that the certificated has to be with them at all times, regardless of break, lunch, whatever it is, and that the paraprofessional that is assisting, that they do no other duties other than the duty with that one-to-one. We are also fighting, and we brought to district's attention that these are extreme cases where a person is getting even more exposure, and we posed the question that while we're still negotiating for everyone to get the differential, definitely these people should be receiving that because the additional exposure. So that's the best answer I have right now. We are still negotiating, but those are the things that are in place, and we are meeting with district on May 3rd to continue the conversation for everyone else.
Also, to add to that, Pam, if I can, kids who are having, if they have the exemptions, which we are not, in agreement to, we'll continue to fight on that. But if they cannot be in the classroom either, right? So if they're in a classroom and they constantly are taking their mask off, they can't even be in a classroom. They have to be with another teacher, with another, with the baseline, or with the BII person, but in a whole different classroom. And this is why the district, even though they're providing education, but this is why in-person learning might not be good for them at this point in time. They might have to continue to learn social distance style. Thank you.
Right, but I just want to be clear, Marisol is right, but in this particular case, The only guarantee that we do have is the exempted child would be the one that is not to be around any cohorts. Those that have other behavioral issues, we're still negotiating those protocols, but the one for exempted, those are the protocols that I just explained.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I know there was also, you mentioned a lot about the IEPs and children in special education classes. There's also questions about children in early education, 3 and 4-year-olds. Can they be allowed on campus without the masks? And are we also addressing that in negotiations with the district?
Absolutely. The understanding that we have and that we agreed to, that all students have to have their masks. It wasn't until recently that we even heard about this exemption. So regardless of their age, their parents were told that if they can't adhere to the protocols and the guidelines, they need to be reassessed and they may have to return back to remote learning. And we are trying to enforce that right now. So that's why we need for folks to let us know every time we were trying to come up with a process to present the safety committee about how many times would trigger a reassessment of a child. And so we are still having those conversations. Again, as we get agreements, we will be posting them so that everybody is in the know.
Okay, and just to clarify this other question, can students ride a bus without a mask?
Absolutely not.
Okay, that one is definite. Okay, regarding visitors on campus, what is the protocol for schools allowing parents or other visitors on campus? Can visitors come on campus, I guess, and what should members do? How is this handled?
What we were told by the safety committee for management today, they are not to be roaming the campuses. There is a checkpoint for the visitors to stop at. And at that point, because I'm sure there's business that has to be handled, they would be, from my understanding, escorted to the designated area. So they just can't roam around. But there is a checkpoint for them designated at every site.
Okay. Question from a special education paraprofessional. If a paraprofessional is working one-on-one with a student, can they be assigned additional duties?
In the cases of the exempted student, absolutely not. In the cases of the one-to-ones, we are still trying to figure out how that works, because before COVID, you could be on a one-to-one, and I think sometimes they would get assigned, have to oversee a couple of others. In this particular situation, that might not be achievable, is that a word? So that we can, so we're fleshing that out with them, dealing with these case-by-case basis, because if you have a runner and if you're on a one-to-one, they're a runner doing some of the things that Marisol said, it's gonna be impossible for you to have many under you. So a one-to-one is, in this particular epidemic, is definitely that, a one-to-one.
Okay, thank you. We also have several questions regarding break rooms and breaks. Are we supposed to have a break room with access to a microwave and a refrigerator? Is classified staff allowed to go off campus for lunch?
Answer to both of those questions, yes and yes. If you still have a campus that has those signs saying you can have access to the break room or the microwave or what have you, I want to know right away, because that was supposed to be handled weeks ago. And as far as being able to leave campus to get lunch, absolutely, we were sent that in writing.
Okay, thank you, Pam. We have questions regarding members who want to, I guess, file for reasonable accommodations because they're not able to go back to work on campus. So what is the process for soliciting, I guess, reasonable accommodations for classified employees?
So we've been having those negotiations as well. And our understanding is you're supposed to provide the doctor's note to your superior, whether it's your supervisor, manager, principal, whomever. And then from there, they're supposed to assign you with remote work. We've been running into problems because certain administrators and supervisors have been denying them once they get it or question it. And so we gave, I'm trying to control my language because I get fired up over this stuff, but they've been denying them, and that's like bull swanky, you know what I'm saying? So we told them that, and they have to provide the process. In the meantime, what we have told district is they need to err on the side of caution. You need to give that person with the note, the remote learning assignment, which is what our agreement is. And then whatever needs to be fleshed out on the back end, they need to do it through whatever departments handle that, whether it be risk management or labor relations or human resources, that's on them. But in the meantime, they need to adhere to the doctor's note, because they can't be questioning the employee what the illness is, and they're not, because of HIPAA, they can't reach out to the doctor. So there is a process, but that's on the back end of HR. In the meantime, they're supposed to honor those notes. Okay? If they're not, please let us know right away.
Okay, thanks, Pam. I'm gonna jump to some questions about the childcare subsidy, the stipend that's available to LAUSD. The subsidy ends in July. Will it restart at the beginning of the school year? Also, there's some questions about how members can take advantage of this subsidy.
Well, on the question of how long, I mean, if they would pick it back up in the school year, I think that would depend on if we're still in the tier where it is an issue. You see how these tiers keep changing. If we start going back to normal, I would assume that there will be a different conversation about it. But as far as we know, and our plan is that it stays in place until we're out of this area or until another decision is made. So that's as far as I can answer on how long it would be if it goes past July. I just don't have that information as of yet. However, how do you apply for it? If you go through the LAUSD portal, and I do believe we have it on our website as well, how you access that to get the stipend for the non-school age children. There's a process you go through, and from what we've been told by district, say that you needed it for April, but you missed the timeline to request it, that you can still do it in May and go back and get April's stipend as well. That's what we were told by labor relations. The second piece of that is for the school age children, they have on-site school supervision that does not, I think you just fill out the form for that, that is also in the portal, and then your kids can be designated to a childcare site, supervision site.
Okay, thanks, Pam. I think this is going to be our last question. What is the status of negotiations for the bus drivers to bid buses?
Those negotiations are handled in full contract negotiations. We have already submitted to them as of, I'm going to say it's close to 2 weeks now, for dates to discuss, to start negotiating the reopener and full contract negotiations. Due to COVID and the constant changing, it was too difficult to try to combine them all. But as you heard Max say at the beginning, we have already started talking to them about dates to start negotiating. We're just waiting for a response from district as to when we are going to be meeting.
Okay, thank you, Pam, and all the panelists. As we said, if you submitted a question, an organizer will be in touch with you to address your question if it wasn't answered during this meeting. So you can, be assured that you will get a response to your question. With that, I'm going to send it back to Conrado.
Thank you very much, Blanca. And thank you everybody for submitting your questions. Before we adjourn, I'd like to make some announcements, some quick announcements. The first one, this Saturday, May 1st, is International Workers' Day, also known as May Day. It's a day where we recognize the contributions of immigrant workers. SEIU Local 99 is part of the Los Angeles May Day Coalition, and we'll be part of a car caravan moving through downtown LA. We invite you to join us on the car caravan. Meet at 10 a.m. on Saturday at Albion Riverside Park. in Lincoln Heights. You can also join on social media. The entire event will be live streamed on Facebook. You can find more information on our website, SEIU99.org. Next, we have a PowerPoint, Healthy Future California slides. Okay, we did that one already. Can we go to the next slide, please? Next, I want to let you know that SEIU is part of an effort to make sure our communities are vaccinated against COVID. Through the Healthy Future California campaign, there is a new, easier process for registering for a vaccine appointment. Go to California or cahealthyfuture.org to sign up. There are also live hours where an operator can help you make an appointment, or you can schedule for a live operator to call you back when you sign up. This is also available to SEIU members and your family and friends. For more information, go to cahealthyfuture.org. And then finally, I want to encourage you to join the movement to win quality and affordable childcare for all working families. Can we go to the next slide, please? Family childcare providers are negotiating their first contract with the state. They are fighting to stabilize the industry and that more providers can open their doors and stay open and offer quality, affordable childcare to working parents. Find out more and sign up for updates at childcareforall.org. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And now I'll hand it over to Max. Are you still on, or are we going to Elizabeth?
Elizabeth's giving a closing.
Okay, I'm sorry. Elizabeth?
Yes. My camera. Okay, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. I just want to encourage everyone that is back at school. I know it must be challenging because we've been so used to doing this Zoom for the past year. But we're here for you. And if there's any concerns, just make sure you guys fill out those inquiries. We want to stick together and try to continue to encourage one another. You know how to reach out to your reps and to communicate with all your leaders that are connected with SEIU, and we'll try to support you as much as we possibly can. You guys have a blessed evening, and I hope you guys have a restful week. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.